Hello, you all. We have made it back to another The Master Relationship Mechanic Show. I am Courtney Lee Smith, your host, and I am excited to continue this month on having wise choices. Sometimes we don't make the best choices in business, and God says always get understanding. So today, I have an awesome guest, Roz Miller Choice. She's going to tell us how to make the right choices for our brand. If you like me, I have done a million things, call myself evolving, call myself pivoting. All of that stuff has cost me a ton of money. And the thing is, then you finally figure out what your brand identity is. And it's really you. Who are you? And so today we're going to talk to Roz, the brand expert, and we're going to make sure we get our brand out there in the perfect way the first time. And then when it's time to pivot and it's time to evolve and it's time to elevate, we started on the right foundation to begin with. So our next guest will be up in 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Oh, I am so excited today, Roz, the expert maker. And see, I like that title because it just fits what you do. I think, and that's just kind of like the start of the conversation. A lot of times we fix these cliche things or these things, but they don't fit what we do. They just sound really cute, really trendy. And so just tell me, how did you become the brand expert?
Well, I am called the Expert Maker, and it's so funny. That name was given to me by a client.
Okay.
I had been working with her, and when I started working with her and began to do a lot of done-for-you services, which my company does, I was pulling out her expertise, things that she had forgotten that she knew. And I was just pulling out her knowledge, pulling out her know-how. And in a few minutes, she went, "You're like the expert maker." And I went, "Ah, yeah, that is who I am, the expert maker." And that name has stuck. It helps me because it tells you very quickly before my elevator speech, you have an idea of who I am and what I do. And then I do follow it up with my elevator speech. I'm Roz Miller Choice. I'm known as the expert maker. I help to transform people from being the best kept secret into the go-to brand in their industry, utilizing my marketing and branding techniques and my team of done-for-you experts.
Wonderful elevator pitch too that you have. Very specific, get everything across. And I think that is very key. A lot of us switch up our messages so much that people don't know who we are and what our expertise is. We're in so many places doing so many things. And I like the story that you gave us that somebody else gave you the title. So I think that there's a message in there. And I'm going to ask you, is it more beneficial for you to ask your audience that you serve, who is it that they believe you are? And the services that you provide versus spending a whole lot of energy on trying to label yourself?
You know what? I think it's a combination of the two. So once you have figured out, it's about getting clear. That's step one. Before you even announce that you are anybody, you have to be perfectly clear on who you are, what you do, who you service, and how you service them. All right. Once you have that clear, then if a name indeed comes to you, and it will, eventually it will. I know a lot of your listeners, you know what, we're God believers. We believe in God. And what I know is that things will come to you. The Lord, the Holy Spirit will reveal things to you. And it can come in so many different ways. Mine happened to come because a client told me. But believe you me, once you get clear on your message and who you are, that name if there needs to be one for you, will come to you. It may come in a variety of ways. You could be driving down the street and see a bumper sticker. You could be in, I had a client who was in a laundromat.
Mm.
And the laundromat owner said to her, you have so much value. You really should stop accepting crumbs.
Oh,
And her
wow.
book became, the name of her book became No More Crumbs. And she has written 2 so far. Another 2 are coming. But, this message could very well come to you from so many variety of places. Just believe, trust, get that confidence in yourself, and indeed those messages will come to you. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent, but
Oh, you did not.
I do want
I
you to
love it.
know that these things will come to you in so many different ways. God knows every conceivable way and inconceivable way of getting to you, getting through to you, letting you know what he wants you to do.
Yes, we definitely got to be open to
Yes.
receive. And I think that that's the key. A lot of times we are so forced into moving forward that we think we have to have that moniker in place before we can move forward.
Nope.
Um, as a expert maker, when you're talking about branding and marketing, what is the foundational thing that we need? Because everybody's talking about logos, everybody's talking about all these things that I need a
Mhm.
logo, I need a website, I need all these things first. What is the first thing first that you would tell people in order to become the expert? This is the one thing that you all should have.
Oh boy, there's a couple of things, but you know what? I've already said it. The one thing is clarity. Once you've got that clarity, then you've got a starting point. Because here's the thing, your message, you will evolve. Your business will evolve. You'll
Hmm.
learn. When I started off, I thought for sure that my target market would be women between the ages of 35 and 50. I couldn't believe that men were coming to me. So, what I would say is once you have some clarity, then start getting your message out there, start talking about your expertise. And let me just step back for a second and explain this thing that I call expertise, because that scares some people off. It's like, well, no, I'm not an expert, I don't know everything. Well, no, but I bet you know more than the average person about a specific subject. And once you have determined that, all right, so how do you determine that? You have to ask yourself some questions. When people call you and say, let me pick your brain, what do they want to know about, right? What is it that you love doing so much that you would do it for free? What is that thing that was a challenge for you? What was that life challenge that you overcame? That's also sort of the way to find your calling, because I'm given that question a lot. Roz, how do I know what my calling is?
Yes.
You ask those questions and you have the clues. That's the key to open the door to what it is that you can offer the world. And when it comes to your expertise or any product or service that you're offering, understand something. There's very, very, very little that's new under the sun. You will probably be offering a service or product that people can purchase elsewhere, but your brand
Hmm.
is what you bring to it. It's that special sauce that you bring to it. It is that way that only you can do it. The way that you sound, the way that you present yourself, the way that you present your message. It's the way that you deliver your service. So that's what's going to differentiate you from someone else. And your calling, you know that you have a calling when you have a desire to help someone. When you go, hmm, I want youth to understand um, how much value they have. You've got a calling to youth, right? I want women to understand how to take care of themselves. So maybe you have a calling for that self-care piece for women. When you recognize who you desire to help and how you can uniquely help them, then you have figured out who you are, why you're here, and who is going to benefit from the fact that you're here.
I like what you said. Firstly, there's nothing unique under the sun. I think we forget that wonderful part of scripture that we're trying to find this something that nobody else is doing. Now, God
Right.
will give you an idea with a little unique twist on it, but He never told you you're going to be the only one doing it forever, for always. And that is the key. Like you said, your special sauce, stay unique to your expertise and yourself. Because just like you say, I thought I was going to be doing something else.
Mhm.
When the relationship service station came out, I was like, I am going to be serving couples, and this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be the relationship mechanics. And I had it all nice and planned out in my mind. And God
Right.
said, no, you're going to be the mechanics for people who were going through grief and loss. You're going to be doing
Mm.
restoration. You're going to be doing picking up people off the side of the road in the ditches. He was like, we got enough couples coaches. He was like, no, this is the lane I want you to go down. And I want you to pull people out the ditches on the side of the road and tow them up and do some restoration projects. And I was just like, okay, you have thrown a monkey in my wrench. So, and that is, and like you said, you are so sure, but God is it's the message and the branding is still there. Your heart and your core and your foundation of what you set up is still there. Now God is just giving you another very specific path. And right here in this second quarter of the year, I really want people to know it's okay if that avatar that you created ends up looking like something else,
Yes.
because that means God chose you to, He assigned you to some different people. And when you were talking about that calling, I was like, okay, you are truly aligned about what we speak with. How were you called to be the expert maker?
That evolved. It really did. Now, I spent 20 years in the media industry. I'm a former television reporter and anchor, and I knew that I wanted to do something different. I no longer wanted to work for a television station. I wanted to work for myself. And I had an idea, but that's all it was. It was an idea that I couldn't even like grasp. It was just sort of this thing that was humming in the back of my head, going, "You're supposed to be helping, but how and who?" Oh, it's women. It's women. That's who it is. Okay. What am I supposed to help them with? Huh? Speak, Lord. What? And so I also knew that, and here's something that's very, very important. I also knew that I had to make money. So whatever it was going to be, it could not be a volunteer position because, um, the mortgage companies and other utilities don't really accept anything but hard-earned cash. And so whatever I did, it had to be monetized. And the expert maker really just grew out of that. I wanted, as a reporter and an anchor, I knew how to present myself on camera, but I didn't know how to be a speaker. And that's how this all started. I wanted to learn, how do I become a speaker from the stage? I'd done a lot of emceeing, had never done a keynote, for instance. And so that's really where it started. What's my message going to be when I do get up on the stage? Who am I
Gotcha.
going to be talking to? And what am I going to say to them? And if I go back a little bit more, one of the things that I was doing, and this is for your audience, take a look at what you're already doing for free.
Yeah.
That is going to be a telltale sign. So what I was doing for free was I could recognize the value that someone had that they couldn't see. So for
Mm.
instance, I had a friend who had raised a son who had special needs. And this kid was amazing. By the time I met her, he was an adult. But she said, "Oh my goodness, you would not believe what I went through to get him there." And I went, "Well, what was that?" And she started listing things. "I set up this. I utilized this resource. I put this in his room. I worked with him on this." I was like, "Wow, you got a system here that other parents with children with special needs could utilize. That's amazing." And she kind of looked at me like, "Huh? Somebody else would want that information?" Yes, somebody else would want that
Yes.
information. Absolutely. And I just had a group of colleagues and friends who had similar, not the same subject matter, but similar expertise that they had to muster up and get training for and get education for, that they didn't even realize had some serious value. And they were just giving the information away for free. Someone would ask them, "Hey, listen, I want to pick your brain on this." And they would just give the information away for free. Well, one of the things I say is, I actually think it's detrimental to give your information away for free for a number of reasons. One, people don't necessarily value free stuff. They don't necessarily follow up if they got information for free. There's no vested interest. The other thing is, I think you may be doing them a disservice when you just give them free information. You haven't necessarily given them every single step of the process. You haven't organized the information in a way that you can communicate to them so that they can have those milestone steps and actually get impact and get results from it. So giving away your information for free does not benefit the receiver.
I like you said that because if I had met you 5 years ago, you'd have stepped all over my toes. Because in the beginning, this was all purely, we call it ministry because we're giving it away for free.
Yes.
We call it ministry because we're giving it away for free. And, God has a tap on your shoulders and say, okay, there's a limit to free.
Yes.
Because, my whole thing, my foundation I stood on, I could never outgive God. I couldn't now. He would always give me something in return. But like you say, the only currency that the bill collectors accept is cash.
That's
Whether
right.
it's electronically. So you have to use wisdom. And that's what we're here giving everybody. Use wisdom. So,
Yes.
I mean, I love ministry. I'm not going to even tell people that I don't give things away for free still. I still give a lot of things away for free. Just right here in media. My whole media ministry is what it is. It's giving
Mhm.
people information, tools, inviting people here to give you the steps, but it's asking you to take the next step to reach out. Like today, you're supposed to reach out to Roz, the expert maker, so you can take it to the next level. It does no good to have a shelf full of books and you don't take
Right.
the next step to invest in yourself and read. And even in God's word, it says, hearers of the words aren't any good if you don't commit action to doing it. And so today you're just hearing the word, but you got to step out and commit to make action and reach out to Roz to move yourself to the next level. And so when you're talking about starting stuff, make sure, even if YouTube is full of free information, but they have a call
Mhm.
to action to move you somewhere else so you can go to that next level. So I agree. It can be a disservice to people. It can be a disservice to yourself if you
Yes.
don't have a plan set up to move people from that media, the ministry part of your business to a marketplace where they can actually see the benefit of developing their skills personally or professionally. So I encourage everybody definitely not to just be here listening to the word. And I know a lot of people get confused and you be like, the word. Yes, the word. God aligned us together in this particular season to talk about wise choices, because I know there are a lot of people out here scamming people in
Oh,
business, scamming people in their personal lives, and they are being used. They're spending their money and they're not getting
out of
any
control.
value out of it. And so that is very key. And then I love the transparency of what you said. this is what I'm doing, and this is what I know I'm already doing free for people. How do I put a monetization? So reach out to Ross so you can get yourself a package. And instead of saying, okay, I'm spending all this time making money over here, but I'm spending even more time over here giving all these things away for free. There's a level of experts. And when you were telling your story, we're kind of like the reverse. I spent over 25 years training. So I knew I could train. Training was easy. I mean, I've been training, I've been teaching, I've been speaking, I've been talking all my life. All my life. But then when the shift came and I was like, okay, now I got to get up in front of a camera and speak to people I don't see, you know, create this, intro, outro, do all of these little backdrops and 1/3. I was like, what is all of this that they are talking about? And I was like, God, you better help me. Because I was like, I want to just jump on here, people, get off the stage and run off.
Understood. And it's so funny. We really do have opposite careers and opposite experiences. But you're right. You talk about that information that they're giving away for free. There is a process to this. And here are the steps. Once you have figured out your genius, you have to package it. And then once you package it, and when I say packaging, I mean things like turn that information into a book,
Mm-hmm.
a course, a workshop,
Mm-hmm.
a live event, a digital course, a consulting service. There's a variety of ways that you can package that information. And once it's packaged in 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of those ways, because I do believe in multiple streams of income, then you can monetize it. Before that, you can't, because you don't really have anything to sell. You don't have this vehicle or a product or a self-contained service that you can offer to people.
I like the fact you use vehicle. A vehicle. And that is true. A lot of times we don't have vehicles to get people from one place to the next place. And I'm like I said, you stepping all over my toes. Because like I said, 5 years ago, this show started. Well, actually 6 years ago, this show started. But I had no vehicle to get people from this show to any place else. Like I said, it began as a media ministry. I was just, I was getting visibility. I was getting my name, but I had no packaging. I had nothing for people to say, hey, can I book you as a speaker? Can I have you on the red carpet? I depended on the platform that I was working for to do everything for me and had not packaged myself. So, and I think a lot of us do that. We jump in and like, okay, somebody else gonna do all the work for us. All we got to do is show up. And the difference is I came from that environment. When you work someplace and you're a trainer and you're a coach, you don't have to advertise yourself. You don't have, that's a done deal. That packaging comes around that check. All you got to do is show up.
Right.
Show up for me. I get to go shopping. I get to go buy a new outfit. That was show up to me in that form. So, and that's why I say that transition that you're talking about,
rude awakening,
you have to have that packaging. So I hope people understand that vehicle that she's talking about. It does no good, and a lot of us are doing it in the reverse way. We're spending all this money on a marketing strategy and a marketing plan, but we don't have anything to send people to. We got a brand name, but we don't have brand packaging. The vehicle is not there. A lot of us, we in park, we have no gas, we have nothing. We don't even have books in the trunk to sell people where we broke down at. So that's key, because we got to at least have books in the trunk so we can put some fuel in the car.
I love that. Books in the trunk. You at least have to have some books in the trunk.
So we have to be wise in what we're doing. So that's a great step, that packaging you're talking about.
And it can be packaged as a speech, and that's one of them that I missed in terms of ways to monetize. You can become a professional speaker and get paid well for your speeches.
Yeah, and now you're talking about this imposter syndrome. And I think that is something that we all suffer with, because we've become, like both of us did, we became very comfortable in our lanes. And
Mhm.
we feel like when we're trying to switch lanes or evolve, you'd be like, really, is this me? Is this something I can do? So how do you get past that and push to that new lane?
I think, I take clients through an exercise, and it's called Believe the Hype. And so I ask them, what has someone praised you about? Right?
Mm.
And say, wow, you're really good at this. What is that thing? They tell me. I'm like, okay. How did they, how did they come about even knowing that you knew this information? Oh, I told them da 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 da. Da. And is it true that that happened? Yes. All right. So let's put these two things together. There's something that you know, and you have a way to communicate it. What's the imposter syndrome? Because clearly you know this. They would have never come to you if not. So I think a lot of this is about just sort of sitting with yourself, asking yourself some questions. Did this happen? Was I prepared for it? Did I have some kind of basis for my knowledge? Did I actually do this thing? And stop and write down what you've accomplished. Because sometimes we forget, the same way you want to be grateful to God, you also want to acknowledge yourself and what
Okay.
you have done through
Okay.
God. But what have you done? And when you start to list that stuff out, little, big, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. A button in a castle is the same to God. There is no little or big, right? So start writing everything that you've accomplished. And I will tell you that imposter syndrome will be done. Because when you realize how
Mm.
much you are bringing to the table, you realize that imposter syndrome is a lie. It just simply is. I can't call it anything else, but it's a liar. It's showing you that you don't have value, that you don't have experience, that you don't have training, that you're not prepared. It's a liar.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And it made me think about back to when you were talking about the vehicle, the packaging. I think that imposter syndrome turns into the comparison syndrome somewhere on the journey
Mm,
because you
mm.
like, okay, I've created this vehicle, I've created this wonderful packaging, you know, it looks like a Mercedes. Then you look in the next lane and somebody got a Maybach driving next to you, and you're like, well,
Yeah,
maybe. And you like, gotta pump your brakes, y'all. Realize everybody can't afford a Maybach.
right.
Everybody
Right.
can't even afford a Mercedes. So you all are on the road reaching different people on your assignment. And that's what we have to realize. Don't switch over in their lane in your Mercedes and think that people who want to ride in a Maybach want to ride in a Mercedes. And that's the key. People who want to ride in a Mercedes, Mercedes has a wonderful clientele of people who
Yep.
want Mercedes. And I promise you, Mercedes is not going out of business. So that means you won't either if you are reaching the Mercedes type of clients. Maybach has a different clientele. They might not have as many, but they have exclusive and they have the
Yes.
people who want to buy their high end market. So that is where you're talking about your vehicle, your packaging. So I think sometimes imposter syndrome can turn into pretend or comparison syndrome if we're not very careful on the journey. So, and I think that goes back to when you're talking about that clarity of God,
Yes.
who God created us to be, who He assigned us to, you know, and being able to be honest about, am I ready to pay the cost to move from the lane to Mercedes to Maybach?
Right. That's what I was going to say. You have no idea how long it took them to get to that position. You're seeing the current result, you're seeing the current position, but you have no idea how long it took for them to evolve to that place. It's okay to be where you are, that not complacency, but the acceptance of your
Mhm.
current position and the knowing that you will grow will allow you to be absolutely comfortable in where you are and what you have to offer in your way.
Yes, I love that. Accepting it and not getting complacent there, but being comfortable in your assignment. Just being comfortable in your assignment. And I want everybody to do that exercise that you gave, to really just sit down and say, hey, what has God gifted me with? What has He allowed me to accomplish? What are the things that I have done? Because
Mhm.
I probably, you're talking about it, you know, I never do intros that really talk about myself. You know, I let other people do that. I never really get hype on sending people my bios. I'd be like, you know, whatever you want to say, you know, I've never been that. I'm gonna toot my own horn kind of person. But I've realized in life, if you don't toot it, nobody else will. So, and that is key, when, especially when we keep that analogy of the vehicle. You're the only one in the car that can toot the horn. So if you're expecting somebody else to jump in your vehicle and actually jump in there while you driving and start pushing on your horn, that's your job. That's your job, to move people out the way, to let people know you coming. So you got to toot your horn to make your way. So I like that. So I was like, okay, I got to learn how to do the horn too, and get up in this car and go boop, boop, every once in a while.
You know what? So
Yeah.
why don't we work with you for a moment, if that's
Oh
okay?
my goodness.
So you know what? Explain to me who you are, what you do, who you do it for, and the unique way in which you do it.
Oh, okay. I got a pitch now. My name is Courtney Lee Smith. I am the CEO and founder of the Relationship Service Station, and I serve people who are stuck on the side of the road in their vehicles of grief, whether it is emotionally, spiritually, or mentally. And I serve as their guide so that they can have a healthy grief progression.
And what's your backstory? What
My
makes you qualified to do this?
my backstory. Well, first of all, as an instructor and trainer, I have spent 20 years teaching, instructing in the compliance of law. So now I instruct and teach in the compliance of the laws of the word, godly strategies. And as a statistician by education, I actually take strategies and numbers to create your unique formula
Ooh,
for you to reach your desired outcome so that you can live your next as your best.
I love it. Now, what kinds of products and services do you have?
Woo, okay. Well, of course, a media ministry. I have 8 different shows, and all of
Ooh.
those shows actually that gives you a taste of me. So that way you can say whether I'm your cup or not. I'm not even tea. I'm gonna tell y'all I'm not tea. I am like a cool glass of wine because I've been pressed. I've been pressed, so I'm good wine. I'm cold and I'm chill, so I'm wine. Don't come if you want hot tea. So I do. I host and I produce 8 different shows. So I have a media ministry that puts people back to my major product right now is a membership program,
Mhm.
which gives people 365 days to interact with me. So
Wow.
so that is a daily drop of audio, and we talk about godly strategies, and a weekly accountability call, and a monthly workshop. So you have no
Nice.
reason to be stuck unless you just never show up for yourself. And outside of the workshop, of course, I offer a 4-week course with a workbook that's called Growing with Grief, because I think grief is good. We just got to learn to stretch and grow with it. Of course, there is a book that's coming out with it. My husband and I are working on a book that's called Good Grief. So we got some vehicles in that area. I actually work as a corporate trainer, helping people deal with resilience, reinvention, and rebuilding themselves. So that's a few of my packages. How about
That
that?
that's plenty of packages. Good. And you have taken the time to organize your knowledge, package it, create your systems so that you can get people from point A to their point B, whatever that transition is or transformation they want to have. So, congratulations. That doesn't come overnight.
Oh
That
no, it
doesn't come
didn't.
overnight. That,
No, this has been some toiling. Like I said, I probably started off wrong. I just started off at a place that was comfortable for me,
mhm,
transitioning, because I believe if I had been thrown into media a different way, I probably would have rebelled against it. I would have been like, whoa, no, I don't want to do this. So I think being able to transition in here on somebody else's platform and let them be in control with it, and then me just get comfortable in my skin, it was a great transition in that
yes.
way.
It
And
worked
then,
it worked exactly as it was supposed to.
yeah,
It really
and
did.
I want people to know there is a different path for all of us.
Mhm.
So I think sometimes we need to fast away from social media, because we are trying to do something the same way that everybody else is doing it and getting the exact same results. At the end of the day, that's insanity, you all. That's insanity. God has a specific plan for you, a specific place to show up, and a specific way to show up. So that has got to be very key on that
That's
journey.
good. That's good, and it's true. It's true, and we're all on different paths, our own individual paths, and it is that connection, that personal relationship with God that will indeed show you your unique path. And I think you're right in terms of you look at other people on social media and you're like, well, they're doing this. You don't
Mhm.
really know what's happening in the back end of that. So if you're trying to repeat what someone else is doing, you don't have their full story. Therefore, you're not going to get those same results. You're going to be frustrated,
Yeah,
aggravated. It just isn't worth it. You run your course, get your training, get your coaching, because
yeah,
I think coaching is key for some people. Some people can kind of be independent and do it on their own, but you can go faster and avoid a couple of pitfalls if you're trained by someone who's already done it.
yeah. And I agree, because just this plethora of information, this wonderful wisdom that you're dropping here today on the show, it should help people just team up with that knowledge that you have already given them. If they apply just that, it should help
Mhm.
them go further. It should help them go further. And it stops. We're in a society of microwave, fast. So I want to do it by myself so I can get there fast and I don't have to pay anybody and I get to keep all my money. But the thing is, does it last? Because if we go according to scripture, the things that last are the things that take us time, that we build and invest a correct foundation and structure. So we got to be careful that we're not building sand houses, that we're
Mm.
not building sand businesses, but we're really building rock solid things. So what are you building next? What are your next steps? Where are you going? What is your message that you're trying to get out to others?
Well, I do have a television show. It is
Oh, okay.
called The Expert Maker. It's a half-hour weekly television show on the Promote Her channel. We are in about 200 million, available in 200 million homes now on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire Stick. That whole OTT, it's called over the top streaming. It has become really, really big. The television show is a natural progression for me. My background is in television, and to now take my brand, The Expert Maker, and turn it into a television show was just it made total sense. I do have a book that's coming out in a few months. I've been working on it for a while, and it's overdue time to go ahead and finish and go ahead and have that published. So I'm excited about those two things. I, of course, still speak around the world. And now that the world is opening back up, whew, finally, we'll be back on tour with the Expert Maker on tour. One of the workshops that I do is a 2-day workshop.
Okay.
It's called Create a Product. And in that 2-day weekend workshop, attendees learn how to, no, forget learn how to, actually create their coaching program. So we work with them one on one to create their steps, create their sessions. So it's like a 6 to 7 sessions to transform someone from A to B. What is it that you want? Where are they now? How do you get them to where they should be? What are those steps? We work it all out. We work out what your sessions should look like, what they should sound like, what you should teach in every single session. We give your coaching program a name. We then create the first graphic for your program. And by Sunday evening, you leave my Creative Product Workshop guaranteed with a coaching program of your own that you have ready to sell on Monday morning.
Hey, man, you help people create a vehicle.
Yes,
I like
absolutely.
that. I like that.
Absolutely. Because you know what? You can have that intention, but you will procrastinate because you don't
Mm.
necessarily know the steps or you're unsure of the steps. But to be in a room with someone who has created several for herself and for other people, then you know, okay, I'm in the right hands and I can do this. And it's time to just simply focus. You know,
And I
there
like
are
that it's
people who take
a
years
2 day,
to create a coaching program. Let's
2
do this
days.
in a weekend. It doesn't take years to do this.
Yeah, and I think we do. We procrastinate, we stretch it out because people have told us, "Oh, it took me a year to do this," but they didn't tell you it took a year to do it because they were doing all these other things in between.
Right.
The thing is, if you can sit yourself down and get yourself in the hand of the expert maker to give yourself that time, and she's saying you do the work in a workshop, not just you get tips and you get an
No, 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 no,
outline
no.
and you get a template that's generic. A lot of things that we're doing now, we spend a lot of money on templates or
Mhm.
ideologies. But to show up for 2 days and at the end have a real product, that is the place that you want to be in the room for. So definitely when she starts sharing those things, I will be sharing them with you all, my audience. I will definitely be sharing when the book comes out. If you all don't know the value of reading books, books are for leaders, people who want to move to the next level. And it's not necessarily about leading other people, it's about leading yourself, because we got to be a
Yes.
leader to ourselves. And everybody gets confused when, say leaders or readers. No, leaders of yourself, being in control and knowing what to make the best choice. So take your time, get a book so you can follow the strategies to become an expert. Do the deep dive. And if you jumped in late, definitely rewind back a little bit so you can do your assignment on how to get past the imposter syndrome. I believe that was a very great tool. I appreciate her using me on the hot seat today to show how we all need to sit and make sure we have that in place, from the vehicle to the messaging, how are we attracting people? What have we built? And it is not overnight success. I'm not saying when we come back next Saturday, you're going to have a vehicle made, your whole brand is going to be done, but at least begin and do a shift and don't get stuck. That's the key. I don't want anybody to get stuck, because if you show up here on Saturdays at 11 o'clock, you're always given tools that you can implement right now. Right now, tools. And that's why I say, if you do nothing else but step into that one assignment, do that today. And then on Monday morning, you pick up the phone or you email Ross and tell her, I'm ready to make the next step to become an expert in my place. So, Ross, give us your information so my guests can connect with you.
Well, you can always find me over my shoulder. There is my website, expert-maker.com. There you'll find ways to contact me directly. There's also lots of information in terms of our courses, our workshops, links to the television show. You'll find it all there. I do ask that you take a look at an episode of the television show. That in that half hour, you can see what myself and my team do for clients in terms of helping them to uncover their genius, to package their knowledge, to create a product and service, to learn how to share that information so that they attract their ideal clients and actually turn their expertise into a business.
Thank you so much, Roz. I am excited that you were our guest today and all of the wonderful information that you have given out. This show is, if you watch it in the live, you can give me some feedback. If you watch it in the replay, definitely give us some feedback. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that you commit action to having your best relationship with God, self, and others. And that's in your personal and your professional life. This month of April about wise choices, there is some phenomenal information. So if this is the first show you see, rewind back a little bit so you can see some of the other shows of April, some of the places that we were in the community. Catch those episodes as well. But Roz, I learned a good bit of information. Even for myself, I need to
Good.
learn how to toot my horn when I get
Yeah,
in the car. Make way, make way. That's right. Avoid people crashing
absolutely.
into me, trying to run me off the road. I gotta make way.
That's
Toot
right.
the
You have
horn.
so much to offer, and nobody's going to know it unless you tell that. Be visible. That's one of the things that I do every day. I ask myself, where am I showing up? Am I showing up on a podcast? Have I written an article that has been published? Am I on social media? And it's not overwhelming, but there's somebody who is looking for me, and it's my
Yeah.
job to be easy to find.
I like that. I like that. And it's funny because when we were in the backstage before we went live today, I was explaining to you why I had on my glasses, and you were like, "Oh, do you want to do it another day?" I was like, no, we're gonna show up today. And that's the thing. Sometimes showing up is not always the most comfortable thing that you have to
Hmm.
do. Sometimes you have to find a way to alter it to get it comfortable just so you can make it done. So I want people to understand that, because a lot of times when we jump into business, or if when we jump into personal relationships, we think it's going to just be easy and comfortable. And if that is your belief, you're already heading in the wrong direction. So I just want you to know it's not necessarily easy, but it can be fun as long as you learn how to keep your peace. So those are the things that I want you to say. And I might do a little jumping behind the scenes and tell y'all while it's so bright in shades today, if y'all just really want to know about the studio shades today. But I thank you, Ross, for joining us. And you all
Thank
make sure
you,
you all
Courtney.
get to her at the Expert Maker. And this will be shared on YouTube and Facebook Live now, but I will be sharing it on my other platforms to make sure people don't miss out on this information. Look forward to seeing you next Saturday, same time, same place, at the Master Relationship Mechanics Show. And yes, we are transitioning into a new month. That means a new message. And yes, we will be dealing with the monster of mental health next month. So
Good.
make sure you all join us next month so we can tackle mental health. See you all.
Thanks, Courtney.